Sorry, I broke wind.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Bros, Brews, and the Basement podcast.
I didn't
Yes.
hide myself this time. I forgot.
She didn't hide herself.
Wait.
Flip it around.
Yeah, you got to flip it around the other way so they can see. The Insidious 5 poster, the red door. Our featured guest is this poster.
That is what it says, even though you can't see it because the microphone's in the way.
Don't worry, we'll zoom in on it.
Editing,
But anyways,
as we've learned.
I'm Corey. He's Dylan. You know that already. And if you've seen our other episodes,
I'm Kim.
yes. Kim is from the BeauTeaTime Podcast.
Oh, yes. I'm part of my own podcast called BeauTeaTime. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all major platforms. We are not beer reviewers. We are beauty reviewers. So if you like that stuff, check us out. We're funny. They're not.
We might not even be beer reviewers per
Yeah,
se.
per se.
Well, excuse me. Sorry.
But we do
We
rate
do
them.
say what we like and what we don't.
Yeah, we
beer
do.
raters. I'm
But-
not a beer
we do
rater.
rate them.
As I was looking for beer, so this episode actually we're going to talk about Insidious.
Yep.
We're going to review it. So spoilers.
Yes. If you did not see
Spoilers.
Insidious, the red door, you're not going to want to listen to that part.
Yeah,
So-
you don't want to see it first and then come back.
Yeah.
So I texted Corey a few days ago saying I wanted to get a horror-themed beer for the episode since we're going to be talking about Insidious 5. And found a whole bunch that I wanted to buy, but none of them were available in the Northeast. So we're going with Dead Guy Ale by Rogue. I have had it before, but it's been a couple years. I don't think you've had
I don't
it.
think I've ever had it. Yeah, when you said the name, it didn't sound familiar, but I was immediately intrigued.
What kind of beer is it? Just a regular
It's an ale.
ale?
Yeah.
6%, 6.8% alcohol.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I'm pretty sure it's a solid beer. So
It looks cool. I mean, you know, the packaging and the artwork.
I'm very excited. Should we get into it?
Yeah, I mean, let's crack into our beer of the week here.
Of course, not a twist top.
Yeah. Our first, we said this off camera before, but our first bottle.
Yeah, bottles.
Yeah.
I'm gonna double up.
Seems to just
What?
make sense.
Why?
'Cause
Well,
these,
usually
these
these
are
hold-
made to hold two.
Yeah.
Oh. I will not be reviewing this beer. I wouldn't have anything good to say about it.
No doubt.
You would probably say it tastes like
It tastes
beer.
like-
It tastes like
beer.
beer. Yeah, if you watched our last episode of the podcast, you would know that that is how Kim feels about beer. All beer tastes the same. Beer is
Beer's
bad.
beer.
However, she did give a sparkling review of the Loyal Lemonade.
Yes.
That is correct.
Let's
Got the
see.
highest rating so far on the podcast with a
A blistering.
astonishing. Oh wow!
Blistering.
Astonishing 9.
Tore the cover off that
Out of 10.
motherfucker.
Just blew all the other stuff out of the water.
Right out of the water.
Did it fit too? The cup?
This is
Well,
it's gonna
Yes,
be.
it did.
I'm
impressive.
I'm afraid.
He did
Oh,
it.
It's
He
close.
Yeah,
did
it's
it.
good
There
though.
you go.
All right.
Wow. That is-
actually, we could probably keep it there, right?
Well,
Yeah, might as
Or
well.
do you not want to be blocked?
I don't care. I'm not blocked.
All right.
It's only a portion of her
We'll,
arm.
we'll take it away when we do our Insidious review.
Yeah.
So we can show everyone what's behind this. Put it back.
It's not insidious.
They're not ready yet.
It's not Insidious. It's not Insidious 5.
Tell
the
them
red
what it
door
is.
Poster. So funny little
not.
side story before we really get into it. But so when we went to the movie, right? you go to scan your tickets and the guy's like, so do you want a poster? And everybody already went through except me, and I'm just like, no. And then as we get to the theater where we're about to walk in, and everybody's like, I got this poster for you for
Corey.
Insidious.
We all were like, oh, this would be really cool in Corey's basement. That's what my thought was. And for the pod, that was what my thought was.
Yeah.
And then
'cause
everyone had one
Yeah.
for Corey.
It's just so funny that I'm the one that said no, and everybody else was like, yes, absolutely.
For Corey.
For Corey.
And you guys can't see, but around the basement, Corey does have some other
He
horror-themed
does.
posters, which is why everybody probably thought, like, wow, I'll get this for Corey.
Yeah, we
And
did.
Corey was like,
Corey's like,
I
this is-
don't
I
need
don't like
it.
this.
I don't need it.
Little did you know, 3 people got one for you.
I appreciate the love though.
Yeah.
It's the the thought that counts, and it is helpful for the pod here.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to give this a taste?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's cheers. Hopefully, our viewers, listeners are drinking as well. Cheers.
Cheers.
Sounded like two rocks clanking.
I did, right? It really did.
Two marbles.
I thought it sounded like heavy dye.
I mean, it could be
Like
that too.
dice, but marbles are probably a more accurate description.
Okay.
I really like this beer. Like I said, not my first time, so I do really like it. Big step up from last week.
Yeah, I mean, last week's was just a fucking
So-
shamble.
Yeah,
God, what a disaster!
it just
that
got
was.
worse last week. But I know I like this. I've had it before. Corey, first sip. Let's hear your analysis.
Oh man,
He
what did
doesn't
I give
seem so
last
sure.
week's a 6, right? The IPA.
Yes.
Man, I mean, this is definitely better than that. I like this a lot more than even the regular IPA that I gave the 6. Obviously, the other two were like, I think I gave it like a 4. Probably should have gave it less. I think I need to be more
The
critical.
citrus and the
Yeah,
double.
the citrus, I was like, I couldn't even finish it if you
They
watched
were-
the episode.
they
It
were
was just
bad.
so bad. I did not like it in comparison to Voodoo Ranger. So I feel like I have to give this one a 7.
Okay.
I was going to say 6.5, but I feel like that's not enough of a margin. Also, Kim doesn't do 0.5s.
I was just about to say, Kim wouldn't accept it.
Does not do 0.5s.
So,
So I think I'm going to go with a solid 7. Again.
I am going to annoy Kim and give it,
An 8.5.
I was going to say a 7.5.
7.5.
So, of course, a little handcuffed because I can't remember what I gave everything else. And, thinking back on all the stuff we've had, I feel like other than this, the citrus, the Voodoo Ranger citrus was probably my favorite.
Yeah, me
I
too.
don't remember what I gave that. But I still think I'm going to go with the 7.5. I really like the taste.
I think
It's
we gave
smooth.
that one a 7 or a 7.5.
I really
So
hope
it's-
I gave it the same as this because
Yeah,
they're on the level.
It's just as good, yeah.
What would make a perfect rating for both of you? What are you looking for when you're taking a sip?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't...
Being that I haven't tasted perfection yet, I'm not sure I can answer that question.
Yeah.
Out of all the beers you ever had in your life, you've had a lot of beers.
I don't believe in perfect. I believe in close to
So-
perfect, right?
Okay.
I
fair.
also feel like we get a little overcautious at times because once we give out a 9, we're like, man, anything that's better than that can only be a 9.5.
Or a 10.
All
yeah.
of a sudden we'll be giving out like, actually this was a 9.137, which
Yeah.
is a little
9.999.
bit
Repeat, of course.
which is a little bit better than the 9.13 that we gave last week.
Well, you
Yeah.
So I feel like we're hovering in like beers that we like. I feel like we're in
are
the
like
7 area.
sevens. Yeah.
Yeah.
And beers that we don't like last week.
It's kind of like giving an IMDb rating. I feel like if you're like a 7 or below, it's like you're average. It's okay. It's
Right.
fine. It's not bad. But if you get a 5 or below, it's not great.
See, and that's why I want to
Yeah.
give this a 7.5 because I feel like it's better than your average beer.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's perfect. It's a great beer. I feel like 7.5 is respectable. That's a doctor. If you take your MCAT, 7.5. So this is a doctor in my eyes.
A doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely great. I do really like it. It's it's subtle, goes down smooth, no like real punch or bitterness.
Right, and
Only,
it's
like,
not
very
not an
minor.
IPA, so
Yeah.
there's not bitterness. When I was in the
Yeah.
distributor today, I saw a couple quad IPAs. They were 4-packs that were like $25, and I was
Sweet
like, "Oh
Jesus.
my god!"
You should check. You know where you should check next time? Target. They have a bunch of like really
Target.
interesting
Yeah.
varieties.
I also look
Alcohol.
at ShopRite because I, of course, went to ShopRite this morning. It's the first day off this week.
Woo.
So I always look there as well because they actually have a decent beer selection. But
That's
it's a
cool.
lot of stuff that every place has.
Already getting the burps going on here.
Oh,
so it's
big
good.
time. Big time.
It's good.
But yeah, I'm going to go with a 7.5.
Yeah.
And you're
so
going
I'm
to
gonna
go with a 7?
Yeah.
All right. So that's it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, it's
absolutely.
not it.
I just have a question. When you go for
Kim's
a beer,
first thoughts.
my first of many thoughts.
Many thoughts. By Kim.
When you go for a beer, what beer do you want to go for every time? Like, what's a favorite beer of yours?
Right now,
And you too.
and you know, because you've seen me buy it a bunch of times, it's the Neon Beer Hug Variety Pack. And their tropical IPA, it's so good. It's also 9%, so you have 2 and you're just like...
You're good.
You're chilling,
Yeah,
right?
you're good. You're set.
Yeah.
We're gonna put a yawn counter in the
Was that 1? Or we already had 2?
We're gonna have a
No, there's no 0.5s.
we're gonna have a like counter for me, a yawn counter for Kim. We haven't figured out for Dylan yet, but
The
we're
amount of
hoping
times I
something-
get up and go to the bathroom, we're at 1 from last episode. Corey edited me out.
Yep.
He just
I saved you.
So for me right now, that tropical IPA from Neon Beer Hug, man, like
It
for
is really
me
good.
right now, that would be like your Loyal Lemonade. I don't know if I would give it a 9, but I would probably rate it the highest. Yeah, I'd probably give it a 9. Like, I love that beer. I love all 4 beers that are in that variety pack. They didn't miss on one.
That's good.
Okay, now Corey.
That's solid.
What
I
are you-
mean,
what are you going
so we
for?
kind of touched on this in I think the first or second episode a little bit, but I said that usually like my go-to is any kind of like any kind of Sam Adams, pretty much.
That was the second episode.
Second episode, yeah, because that was the
That
real
was during
intro.
your
Yeah.
that was during your About Me, where you nervously were just like,
ranting.
"Hi, and my name is, and I like this, and I'm over here, and please, and I'm sorry."
I was really channeling my inner Morty from Rick and Morty there. But yeah, I would say probably anything Sam or Voodoo Ranger. Like those are my go-tos. Like I'll go out of my way
the Juicy Haze.
Yeah, I think that's specifically what we had mentioned in episode 2 was Juicy Haze. That was like by far our favorite one. And now that I'm like thinking about all these things, I really feel like I underrated the citrus. But
Right?
like
thinking about it, we gave that a 7. Meanwhile,
I
we
shoulda
were
gave
sitting
it
there
I
going
shoulda
like,
gave it
"Man,
like
this
an
is
8 or
fucking great."
Yeah, I
Well,
shoulda
you
given it an
can
8.
say your beer reviews are subject to change.
Everything's
you
subject to change. But yeah, so I mean, those would be my, that's the ones I normally go for.
And I would say that Juicy Haze is damn good. Like, it's up there with the Neon for me. It's
Yeah.
just like right now, the Neon is...
Beer also really depends on how you're feeling, right? So like if you want something stronger, you're probably going to want an IPA. But like if you want to just like chill, you're probably going to get an ale.
It's also the time of year.
Yeah.
Where
It's hot. You don't want
Yeah.
something that's going to be sitting like
on Long Island,
heavy.
it's summer right now. It's hot as fuck. It's been 90 degrees the last few days. Super humid. At least it felt more humid today.
Oh yeah, it's like Florida weather here.
That's
kinda.
what I
But
said
then, like,
today.
Yeah.
In the winter time, the Neon Beer Tropical, while it's still going to be good, it's like not going to be what I'm trying to have in the winter.
Yeah.
You know, and when Halloween comes around, all of October, we're just going to find horror-themed beers.
Yep.
And pumpkin.
Plenty
And
of
pumpkins
Oktoberfest.
and Oktoberfest. And I know of at least 3 Christmas ales that we could do for December,
Oh,
too.
cool.
That's fun.
That's
and
exciting.
festive.
Yeah, I was
So
going to say
the
it's going to help
time
me
of
get in
year-
the spirit.
The time of year really matters
Yeah.
as far as what you're drinking.
Nice. That's cool. All right, so that concludes our beer of the week. So before we get into, I guess, the video, really, I just wanted to kind of give you a rough outline. Not that you're not going to see the things popping up on the top already with the topics, but,
And we can throw this to the side.
Yeah, I mean, the general idea is we're going to talk about Insidious 5, right? We'll give you some of the basic info in case you don't really know what it's about or anything like that. We're going to let you know individually whether we liked it or not, right? maybe some standout moments from the movie that live rent-free in our head, you know? And then probably going to rank the trilogy, right? So you have, obviously, the 3 films. Even though this is Insidious 5, The Red Door, only the first 2 connect to this one. The other 2 were prequels, so we'll rank the 3, since I also didn't watch Insidious 4. I
think we saw that, but I don't remember.
I watched 3, but,
3 was the kid with the guitar, right?
No, that's The Conjure. I mean,
that's the.
yeah.
Oh, is that Annabelle? That's Annabelle.
That's Annabelle.
God damn it.
Yeah, then we'll also give you our, our number score from 1 to 10. Obviously 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, and then we'll see where we go from there. That's kind of the things that we really want to mainly touch on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
if you have not seen Insidious: The Red Door, don't keep watching this. Come back later.
Yeah, come back later. Come back later. Put it in the list of things that you want to watch for later on,
Yeah.
Add us to your queue.
So this was I'll display this lovely poster that we all got for Corey.
Look at it. I'll zoom in on it. It's so beautiful.
It's a pretty cool poster.
It
Patrick
is.
Wilson is on it, I think.
And Ty Simpkins probably.
And Ty Simpkins, yeah.
Yep, and
Is the lipstick demon on there at all?
No, I don't think
there's
so.
just claws.
Oh, it's just the
and
red door.
hands and the red door.
Yeah.
Corey actually has a red door on his house.
I do. I kind of wanted to make a video about that, like an intro.
So, as far as general information,
And by the way, we did see this literally a week ago today.
right.
We're filming this on a Thursday.
So-
Who knows when this will get posted? Probably Sunday.
So Blumhouse was one of the production companies, which you had stated is a big
basically
known
like
horror
mega
production
horror
company.
Yeah.
Ran for 107 minutes. Honestly, longer than I was expecting. I feel like a lot of these horror films clock in at an hour 30, pretty on the dot.
Yeah.
Right,
So
so
a
a little bit longer, which I liked. Their budget was $16 million, which we had discussed. Horror films usually have a pretty small budget.
Pretty low, yeah.
I mean,
unless it's
considering the movie we watched, there weren't many scenes where it needed to be CGI that
No.
much.
yeah, it's not like an action film where you're getting like explosions and they're blowing shit up
It's
and
not Fast
ruining.
and the Furious.
Yeah, it's not
Right.
Fast and the Furious where they're going to space and shit.
Oh,
Spy mission.
In a Honda.
But that's not why we're here.
Yeah, that movie sucked. Anyway, their first weekend, I believe they made $74 million, or maybe that's up to this date. But either
But
way,
either ways, they already
Yeah.
right. They already crushed.
yeah,
the-
I can't imagine with a $16 million budget they spent too much more than that also on promotion, right?
Yeah.
But as we had discussed, all these movies are financial successes, which is probably why they keep making them.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It's time and time again you're seeing in the box office that horror kills, literally.
Well, like we said before, we said last week, it's like one of the main genres that you need to go to the movies for.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
a different
it's the experience. Yeah, you go there to get scared with other people, like in the
Yeah.
crowd around you. It's the same reason why you go and watch a Marvel film in theaters, right? Because you want to be around people who are just like die-hard fans.
Yeah.
Right.
You get excited with all the clapping, or in this case, horror movies, people fucking jumping out of their seats.
Yeah.
And you're looking around like, did that person
Did he
jump?
do
Did
it?
Did they see me jump?
Did Omar
Did they-
jump?
And obviously, Patrick Wilson directed.
Yeah, his
Which I believe-
directorial debut, I believe.
I
believe.
believe,
Well,
but I'm not sure.
We're not sure. Could be, could not be, but nonetheless, he was pulling double duty for the film, and I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had talked about this in the other video, but the entire cast of the first 2 films returned for this one, and we also
Good thing their daughter was in it. I
Yeah,
mean,
we
man,
even got to see
what a role.
What was that guy's name? The other spiritual guide, the old man.
Oh,
He did make an appearance. He was not in the movie
Fuck.
for very long,
Yeah,
but he
he
did.
was-
He also came
he
back.
was at the cemetery.
Yeah, I just
Calvin?
maybe. I can't remember the guy's name, but
That's
that was like
probably
Elise's friend
very
from
wrong.
Insidious 2. He basically, took over the reins, after she died in the first film.
Yeah, wasn't he the one that put the memories, like suppressed the memories?
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Dalton in?
Yeah, at the
And,
end of 2.
Josh.
Yeah, so there was a lot of, returning people for the third film, which is
Yeah.
great. You always want to see that. I feel like that really helps bring it to a proper close when you get all those things.
Yeah.
It's all the key ingredients, right?
Definitely.
For a blockbuster finish.
Well, can I just add really quick?
Sure.
I just typed in the movie and
Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep, I was looking at this just before.
The
Go ahead.
tomato meter was 38%.
Yeah, not very
which is
good.
not good. So what is Rotten Tomatoes? That means they had tomatoes left over that they didn't throw, or they threw a lot of most of their tomatoes.
So
What does that
38% is not good.
I never understand.
That's like the approval rating.
Yeah. So it looks
Okay.
like from what you're looking at, right? So that is the critic score is
Okay.
38. So I always take the critic things with like a grain of salt
yeah,
because
they're a little snooty.
they're a
wasn't
little
it?
snooty, and generally you're never going to get a high score from them in horror
Yeah.
specifically.
Right.
It's usually drama films and stuff like that, maybe action.
Okay.
And also with the critics, I've read some of them. Some of them comment on stuff where it's like, "Oh, and this ruined the movie," and I'm just like, "Who gives? What? Why do you care about that?"
because
Like,
he's a
that is-
critic.
Yeah.
That was for, but
gets
then I'll
paid
look at
to
it for me
critique.
and I'll say like that's a non-issue.
Yeah, it's
for
a
me,
non-issue. So then,
You know.
Well,
but
so
the audience score,
so the audience score was 70%, which is good.
more on par with what you would expect.
So basically says on RottenTomatoes.com, it says in the critics' consensus that earlier installments have had their moments, but behind Insidious the Red Door lies the disappointing denouement of a once frightening franchise.
See, but that's the thing for me is I didn't feel like the movie was really meant to really scare you. Like there
No.
was a couple of jump scares, right? But for me, that was just wrapping up the story.
Well, so the audience said that Insidious the Red Door gives fans of the franchise an ending they should mostly appreciate,
Yeah,
which I agree with.
I would agree.
Right.
Because even Steve from Basement Universe React channel, he was there.
He was there.
He was.
He said that he didn't think it was that scary, but he thought it was like an appropriate movie to
Yeah.
wrap everything up.
I agree.
And
Which I agree
he
with.
also said, which I do agree with, was there wasn't like so much of a plot,
Yeah.
right? Because the whole point of this movie that I thought, at least I think, was to just wrap the story up.
Yeah, I mean, basically,
Mm-hmm.
in a nutshell, that's it. The whole premise.
You really should have left there with maybe a couple questions, but for the most part, everything was answered.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be satisfied, I think.
So, what I really liked was probably my favorite part of the movie is the entire time there's that being that looks like is haunting Josh
Oh, okay.
when really it's his dad.
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And the time that before you even know it's his dad, right? He gets attacked in his old house, or you think he's getting attacked.
Yeah, you think.
And then it's like really it was his dad pulling the wool
well,
away from his eyes to let him know what
Trying
the
to-
truth was.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
trying to get him there at least.
Yeah, basically.
Well, I think that's the best part of this whole movie was you find out where the astral projection originated from, which is not something you knew at all in the other movies.
Yeah, they don't really talk about it, and they don't really talk about his dad too
Yeah,
much.
they were just
He's
like
just not
Well,
She
they
was a
single mom.
wrote it off as my dad
just wasn't around.
Yeah.
dad left us.
Yeah.
He was a scumbag.
and you don't even really think about it
and
at
the
all.
mom, which is also a theme, Josh's mother. Remember, Dalton says that he always felt she had secrets.
She was hiding something. Yeah.
Right? And that's tying into them being made to forget, but also even at other times, she still had secrets from Josh, even when he didn't forget.
Yeah.
You know? So I very much liked it. I thought the acting of Ty Simpkins was good. I'm not sure I've seen him in anything else other than obviously the first two Insidious movies. But I enjoyed it. There are things that I thought were interesting, but I want to hear what the two of you liked about it.
Let's go to Kim next.
So this is the summary, not this.
Yeah, so we'll do like, what
standout
I guess
moments,
right
yeah.
now we're basically saying, what we thought, if we liked it, we didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry
Okay.
if I went off of the outline.
No, it's okay.
I'm
I
sorry.
mean,
I was
you're
just
still
wondering.
hitting it,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, I mean, overall, I think that the storyline of, figuring out that it was the father that was in a mental institution and he killed himself, and because he was having astral projections, he was astral projecting. I thought that was a really interesting tie-in, because I never watching the movies thought about the father at all, not once.
Well, yeah.
So it's interesting.
They don't
and
bring him up enough to
even
that
think
he would
about
even
it.
be a talking point other than just, he wasn't around, so.
Yeah,
Right.
like he's just a deadbeat. But this is what I said this when we talked about it the last time, but I always wonder if they always have a storyline or they just work backwards from the movies that they put out. Like in this instance, where they're like, oh, well, we could make it the father, or like, where do we get it, But what was interesting about the movie, too, is there's a lot of, like, foreshadowing in a lot of, like, even the pictures in class that, like, the lady on the board is presenting. Or, like, I thought it was really cool how they broke open the door by it literally being his painting that made it the portal, which he figured out, and that's how he closed the portal, was painting over it. But I thought it was really interesting how they made that the reason it came back, and he opened the door and he had to close the door, and like all of that. I thought that was all really interesting about the
It
movie.
definitely was. I mean, I thought it was a great way back into the
Yeah, I thought it was
the
smart.
universe, into the further, bringing the demons back and everything.
Yeah.
And also in the art class, right, because the lady was his art teacher at college. In the art class, when she wanted them to get into their like mood or mode, whatever, when they were going to paint, she counted down from 10,
yeah.
right? So that got him into his
And she kept saying drift
memories and whatever.
further.
And then previously, to get into the further, and also after that to get into the further, it was a countdown from 10. So it's almost like while in his art class, he was starting to drift into the other dimension.
Yeah.
And I
without knowing.
wonder if there was some demonic influence that led to him painting the door. I just thought of that right
Well,
now.
it's because he unconsciously tapped into
Yeah. Those
Right.
memories.
those memories. Yeah.
Right. So
Because he drifted.
it's I
One
like
one
how
might
they
say
tied that
he
in.
unlocked a door.
He did.
There you go.
Well, but what about you, Corey?
So you
how'd
guys
feel?
obviously both enjoyed it. I definitely
did.
enjoyed the film. I'm sure there are some people out there that will probably feel exactly like what you said before, where it's like, it was a good way to finish the series. Maybe not like a standout in the franchise or anything like that, but I definitely thought it was a solid way to finish. I don't know if the whole, like you said, when they're writing the story and everything, I don't know if they would have thought, okay, we're going to do a father-son story 10 years
Yeah.
from now.
Right.
And that's how we're going to conclude it. I think that
Right.
they probably went back and looked at what they had
Yeah.
and thought, what's the best way to possibly write a story? And
Yeah.
obviously we got a father-son story that was pretty emotional. And obviously it does tie in because of the father-son relationship that Patrick Wilson's character didn't have with his father,
Right.
whom he
Right.
thought was just a deadbeat.
Right.
So they play off that really well with Dalton and what's his name? What is
Josh.
Josh. And Josh's character in this movie. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'll read the synopsis real quick just so you can, like in case. So it's like Josh Lambert heads out east to drop his son off at college. However, Dalton's college dream soon becomes a living nightmare when when his repressed demons of his past suddenly return to haunt them both. So obviously, like I said, you learn a lot about their relationship is strained. The parents are divorced. The kids are just kind of like not really doing great. Well, maybe not Ty Simpkins, aka Dalton, but
Maybe the little girl was doing great. We wouldn't know.
We
didn't
get to
see
see a
her
little girl for like
She was
for
in-
one
5
scene.
minutes.
She was in maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Maybe
She's not
5
in
minutes.
any of the
Scene.
rest of the movie.
But yeah, I thought the flow of the movie itself was really well.
Yeah.
The opening scene closes some doors while progressing obviously to college, him meeting new people, bringing new characters into the story that I thought were very likable and brought
Chris
Humor.
Winslow, I believe
Yeah,
her name was.
she brought like a breath
She
of
was a
fresh
great
air.
character.
Yeah,
The comedic relief almost exclusively
Yeah.
to
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
But you got to kind of explore Dalton through her because she kind of helps him come out of his shell in the film. And obviously you get the demon back, the lipstick demon from the first film. Lots of creepy shots and scenes.
But yeah.
Quite a few jump scares.
There definitely was some jump scares.
there was some jump scares.
That there's things in the movie where there's loud bangs that I feel like they try and make a jump scare but it doesn't always work. But there was definitely jump scares.
Yeah.
That you were I was like, oh, okay, I'm a little scared.
So the first one,
Got
the
me.
first jump scare in the movie got me real good. Dalton is in his, slightly separated state while he's painting or
in the class.
maybe he wasn't
It was-
painting, maybe he was using the charcoal at the time. And then he gets grabbed by a demonic hand and the music was very
It
Yeah.
slaps his hand against the board.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
that
what
made
creates-
me really jump.
Yeah.
And I looked at Kim and I was like, Kim, they got me.
I honestly think we all looked at each other and was just like that got me. Yeah.
Well, what I did also like about the movie is that it didn't feel like it was repeating. You know how sometimes they just drag a story on and on and on and they just keep pulling out the same
Beating
tricks.
a dead horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how can we do the same thing
Again.
but slightly different, just enough to pull the wool over their eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
So that they're like, "Oh, wow, that was still great though."
But that's
Which is interesting because I felt like they were kind of retelling the story.
But they were. But
Kind of, yeah.
every movie between the 3 movies, every movie connected a dot somewhere.
Right.
You kind of have
Which is
to also
pretty
retell
cool.
the story, considering the whole premise of the end of the second film is they forgot everything that happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously they don't remember, the rest of the family does, but nobody's
Right.
talking about it because
Right. And
Yeah.
it ruined their marriage and it ruined his relationship
Yeah.
with Dalton.
Kim pointed out that while at the cemetery, she was like, they're divorced now.
Yeah.
And then as they're walking back to the cars and they're going to their separate cars, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they are.
yeah,
'Cause-
obviously a big strain.
Right.
You know what? The other thing I noticed too is, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but in this movie, they were seeing entities when they were not in the further,
Yeah,
in the
they were
daylight,
being haunted. Yeah,
Yeah.
in just regular life.
with his father, of course, but Dalton could see the kid that died, in the frat house,
Yeah.
Right.
or he can speak to them. So I thought that was different.
Well, I think they were able to see the lipstick demon previously. Right?
Outside of the further. you
Yeah,
mean?
I think
'cause
Renee-
in the first scene, in the first movie, Josh's mom sees the demon behind him, when they're talking.
Oh, is it
Oh.
Josh's mom? Okay, I was
Yeah.
going to say Renee. I think Renee sees the demon
Probably.
in Dalton's room in one of the first
probably.
two.
Yeah.
And the demon's like, I'm here for Dalton.
Well, I thought it was cool that they did a nod to the first movie where Dalton had, if you remember, he drew a bunch of demons and scary pictures that they showed in the beginning of the movie, and now he's still drawing scary demons and
Yeah.
pictures because
Yeah. The
he-
artwork, was a big tie-in, obviously, from
Yeah.
the previous films because of that.
Yeah.
Specifically, almost exclusively to the first one with those drawings. There's something about children's drawings in horror films that
Yeah.
there's almost nothing creepier than that, because they always
Yeah.
see some shit
Yep.
that only they can see and
Yep.
replicate in a crayon drawing.
Yeah, like a
Just super creepy. It's
type
always
of
like,
drawing.
it's always like, oh yeah, like mommy, daddy, me, and
Yeah.
like this other creepy thing that I
Yeah,
see that nobody
yeah.
else sees.
yeah.
We call him Dave.
Oh God. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoyed the film as well. To kind of circle back, just to say that I did like it, just like you guys.
So what would you say your standout moments are?
I mean, we kind of touched on some of them already. I mean, obviously the jump scare when he's doing the painting in the class, or
Yeah.
whatever. What was it? Charcoal
Mm-hmm.
drawing.
Yeah.
Right, when the hand hits him and he bleeds on the canvas, and then obviously that opens up the portal, because after that he goes back to his room and starts, smearing the blood, which, I get that we have to suspend disbelief, but I don't think that blood would have been still that wet and would have smeared that much. But that's
Well,
it's a movie. I'm gonna, that's nitpicking. But yeah, I would say probably that's one of the standout moments. I know that Dylan probably looked over at you when we got to see when Dalton got captured, or when he went into the further and was in the lipstick demon's lair for the first time, and the song that I talked about
yeah.
in the previous episode played, and you were like, what did you say? You were like, Corey must be in heaven right now.
yeah, I was. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that was immediately, I just, was grinning from ear to ear hearing that, knowing like, yes, we're going to get another like cool little moment here.
Yeah.
Those are probably like two of the major ones. I mean, obviously like the very end with the door being
Yeah.
painted over while Patrick Wilson's character is
Yeah.
holding the door.
You thought he was gonna die the whole time.
We
I
did.
Really thought.
I really
did.
thought too, because I mean, they were building up the story so well
Yep.
and focusing on that relationship so much that you knew that
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Wilson felt like he needed to sacrifice himself to win that, to
So
like show
Dalton
his son
knew
Yes.
that he
that
really
he loved
cared.
him. He truly loved him.
exactly.
Yes.
And wasn't just like a fucking piece of shit like his father was, even
Right.
though, you find out he wasn't.
Which
Right.
is also why that whole 10 minutes right there, right? So Josh is holding the door closed. He's willing to stay there to keep the door closed so Dalton can live a regular life. Dalton paints his painting, which then in turn covers the door. And then Josh is able to see his dad,
Yes. That was one of my standouts.
right? So that was mine as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because Josh is able to see his dad, and while the character that plays his dad has no speaking lines,
Yeah.
they just look at each other and smile, because the dad's soul can finally rest knowing that Josh now knows the truth.
Mm-hmm.
That he didn't just leave, that he was going through this same shit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and
No way to
Josh-
communicate that, right?
Josh was able to be like, they look at each other and they basically have a full conversation just by looking at each other, and then
Sometimes-
that leads to the lamp.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you need, though, is just that one look. It's like, you don't even
So-
have to say anything.
For me, the way they wrapped it up, the last 10, 15 minutes or so, it made the whole movie. I mean, I liked the whole movie, but I mean, for me, it was really the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how like the paper that his dad had given him or felt like presented to him that said
The
it
fir-
ends with me,
Oh, okay.
and then
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
said it like yeah, well that was good.
It was
Yeah.
good.
I was going to say the only other standout moment I would probably say is when he sees the ghost of the frat house kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because that
Right.
scene, the whole time, they just build it up
Which
so well.
one? Honestly, every time he saw that frat house kid, it was like,
Horrifying. Well,
it made sense.
yeah, I mean under the bed.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because that part was just you knew some
When he
shit was
fucking
about to pop
vomits
off.
on him.
Ugh.
Yeah, they did a great job with some of the camera work there. I did think, like, for a second, I was just like, man, I think this, like, pause for dramatic effect scene, like, where he's just looking around, like, is going on for a little too long. But ultimately, it's because you slowly see in the background the demon or the ghost, I guess, in this case, because he was not really a demon, I guess. You could see him moving closer, and then of course, you get a camera cut or a camera change, and then he's gone.
Right.
And then Dalton panics and leaves, and then
Yeah.
literally.
Well, whenever scenes like that happen, I always feel like they're too long because I'm like, just get to the fucking part
Yeah,
where
you're
you're
like,
gonna
I just
scare
want
me
this to be
so I can
over.
get scared,
They
please.
do it on purpose.
So when he's in the MRI,
Oh yeah, that was
right? He's
that
in the
was-
MRI. Now, we had seen that part in the trailer.
but not to that extent.
But
yeah.
so when that part came up, I was like, all right, we already know what the fuck happens. The fucking demon or whatever it is crawls up the MRI and he freaks out. So let's just get to that. But it was like 3 minutes to get there. And like
Yeah.
you said, they kept changing the camera angles. And it got to the point where I was like, all right, it's coming. I don't know when.
but it is
And
coming.
I don't know which camera angle it's going to be. And I still jumped. Even though I knew it was in the trailer.
Well, it's
I
like
still jumped.
it's
Yeah.
like when you are taking off the thing on the Pillsbury rolls that you know that it's gonna pop. You just don't know when, but it still scares you.
Yeah, we also, like, on that scene too. We didn't know that the hands were gonna be behind his head,
Oh,
reaching towards him.
yes,
So like when that
yes.
happened, I started losing my shit. I was just like, oh wow.
So then he
what
looks-
a great swerve. This
He
was.
looks up
and, then
and
they're
nothing's
gone.
there. And then the motherfucker crawls up the thing
Yeah.
from his
Ugh.
feet. All to find out that he had just been sleeping for 15 minutes. So that's another case where, they weren't in the further, but they were still
Yeah, I
under
guess
attack.
because he was asleep, you're led to believe that he was.
Yeah, I
projecting.
guess so.
But yeah, it's kind of left open for interpretation, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of our standout moment. So
Well, can I add one?
you can absolutely.
quickly?
I
So
was gonna
mine
say.
was what he said about the dad, but also the other one was at the end where Elise popped up
Oh, right.
and was like, "Oh, do you live here?" Blah blah blah, and then she tells him like, "Keep a heavy," what was it?
Keep a steady
Steady
stride,
Steady
Josh.
stride, and she
That's
had
how I was
like,
gonna end the podcast.
but she like
Final
didn't-
thoughts.
She said that she said that in the video that they watched.
Right.
About astral projection, like Dalton and Chris watched. But I thought it was interesting because her demeanor kind of changed when she said "keep a steady stride,"
Which
Like,
is
looked at him
why when
Yeah.
we first started, I said, the end of this, when this movie ends, you might have a couple questions, and it's all because of that,
yeah,
right? Because when you're as financially successful of a franchise that Insidious is, you never want to shut the door on more movies.
I see what you did there.
That was
You probably didn't even
unintentional.
mean it. Me too.
It was unintentional.
Those are the best, though.
But it's true, right? So you have to end it in a way where you're like, well, what does that really mean? And they're coming out with another Insidious, right? It's
Yeah, the thread.
Thread, right?
Yeah,
An Insidious
Just
tale
spin-off,
or something.
Yeah,
and the
To-
nun.
I can only assume totally unrelated. That is not.
I
connected,
imagine
Kimberly.
so. I
The
imagine
nun that
so.
Patrick Wilson is not in. Yeah.
Uh,
So that was
but-
my only other one that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, it's a movie that's definitely full of great moments. Those are just some of our standout ones.
Yeah.
So now I think we get to ranking the 3 films from. You want to do from worst to best or best to worst?
What do you think?
How about you start,
Yeah.
Okay.
and you tell us what order you do, and we'll follow suit.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so I'm gonna go from best to worst. So this may be not everybody's opinion, right? But I always feel like it's very difficult to top the original film
Yes.
in any trilogy or a franchise, right? Because it sets the tone. It's the original.
Right.
I mean, using that word a little loosely because, Hollywood is, they borrow a lot of stuff. But
As original as can be.
yeah, so I would say that for me, it's probably 1, 2, 3. In literally in that order.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that, like, the final film obviously was bad, because I definitely enjoyed it. But I felt like overall it didn't have the same kind of scary atmosphere as maybe the first 2 films.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I would say that that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
The second film, definitely solid, but again, usually sequels are never better than the original.
Yeah.
It adds on the story, but obviously you lose some of the characters.
Yeah.
AKA Elise, which was like a
Right.
huge character, even though she's in it a ton. And then, going to the last film, it obviously ties back in and almost kind of reboots the storyline. So you kind of have to, like, work your way through the story again as they build up a brand new story and dynamic between all the characters.
Yeah.
Right.
Some scary moments, great atmosphere, great acting though overall. But yeah, that would probably be my order. I'd love to know what other people think, so please let us know in the comment section. But
Yeah.
more so, I want to know what you guys think.
I would actually have to agree. I was thinking that before you said it. I know it's like cliche to be like 1, 2, 3, but I feel like yeah, like nothing tops the original, and the others are just like background.
Yeah, I mean, it adds on
Stories.
so well,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Yeah.
how much can you add on where it's like, oh, that's so original and like
Right.
mind-blowing.
Right. What about you?
I'm going to agree. 3 for 3. For me, the reason I'm going with that order is
2.
I think that's 3.
Is it 3?
I don't know. That was 1.5, so that might be 2 total.
1.5. Shots fired.
The reason I'm going to say 1, 2, 3 is you go into these movies thinking they're going to be, thrillers, right? In the first 2, you were still learning a lot about the Further, the demons, especially the second one. What the fuck's going on with Josh?
Yeah.
Something's wrong with him. This is wild. In the third one, it was a lot more learning about the humans, right? We already knew the lipstick demon. We already knew the bride in black who makes a quick appearance and gets Dalton's body for a scene or 2. So it's like the Further and those demons, I don't think there were any questions related to them. We knew,
Yeah.
everything about the Further and the demons we knew was more learning about the humans. And while I did like that, we go to these movies to see like jump scares and thrills and shit like that. And like you said, Corey, number 1 sets the tone.
Mm-hmm.
It did a great job setting the tone. 2 and 3 are supposed to add on, which they did. So
Yeah.
I think if most people come out saying their order from, and almost, I feel like best to worst is not fair.
Yeah, because
Because
like
that
it's not
sounds
bad,
like
but
3
it's-
is bad.
Yeah, but like
But
least favorite.
it's like, right,
Yeah.
most favorite to least favorite. I feel like you would want the first one to be everyone's most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't come back for number 2 if number 1 sucks.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
And as like a fan of the franchise or a watcher, it's like you want to, when you watch these movies, like you want to see them call back to the first one, or like,
Always.
it's like
Yes.
when Dalton was in the art class and she was like, and 10, 9, and you're drifting further. I went, oh no,
She
I
said
also
further.
she
like-
said
and-
further.
I also liked after he finished painting the door, she walks over and goes, "Is that keeping you out or keeping you in?"
I don't know.
And he was just like, I don't know. It's
Good question.
just a door.
But
Great question.
yeah,
The one thing that I will say about the third one that I really liked is the misdirection they had. So we know what happened as the viewers.
Yeah.
However, Dalton doesn't.
Oh,
So
right.
Dalton
Yeah.
doesn't, especially since Dalton and Josh were made to forget that whole year that he was 9 or 10. I think it was
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, he has no idea how the events of the
Right?
second
So he has
film
no
played
clue
out.
how it happened. His brother, was the brother's name Foster, or is that
Yeah.
the name
Yeah,
of the
Foster.
actor?
It just
Okay.
came to me like as I was sipping the beer. I couldn't remember it earlier for
So
the life of me.
The
but I was like,
brothers,
Foster.
the brother,
Foster the
right?
people.
So, so Dalton's like
Terrence
having
Foster.
these random memories that he can't piece together.
Yeah.
And then Foster is like, hey, well, I had this one. And then for however long it is, Dalton thinks Josh tried to kill them.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the, he goes into the further and sees it taking place
Yeah.
where it looks
Yeah, he
like
sees, like, the
Josh is
memory.
going to kill him.
Yeah.
He tackles Josh, but it was never Josh. It's the bride in black. It's the guy that wore the wedding dresses. And that's how he ends up getting possessed. So I like the misdirection that they had with the characters, which led to his possession. Now, the one thing that happened where I was like, that was interesting, and I want to ask you guys your opinion. When the lipstick demon starts choking Chris, and then she ends up at what I thought she was dead.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
But Dalton sees him in the further, and he stops choking her. I then also thought she was going to be possessed.
Yeah.
Why do you think the demon didn't bother with her? Like, he just basically knocked her out. Do you think, like, I feel like the demon was like,
Scare tactic? I don't know.
I feel like
Yeah.
the demon was like, listen, I'm just going to get rid of you for a little bit, but my main target is.
Yeah,
that.
maybe it was to
Yeah.
just lure him back in.
But
Probably.
when she woke up, I was like, she's fucking possessed. He's got to get away from her. And then nothing happened, and I was like, it's interesting.
Yeah, it did seem kind of like a weird thing. It almost does make me think like what you kind of just said. It is like to lure him in even more and like get that curiosity where it's like, okay, like I need to do something about this. Like I need to find a way.
Yeah.
And of course, like, he just goes further and further. He just goes
Sorry.
further and further down that rabbit hole, and unfortunately,
Right.
it doesn't really pan out for him in the short game, but in the long term, obviously.
And it just makes you wonder, is the initial goal of these demons just to get anyone in that bloodline that can astral project?
Yeah, because you never really know for like the lipstick demon what the deal is, right? They kind of explain
He just
that.
goes after them.
Yeah, they kind of explain for Parker Crane that because he's a soul that's like trapped there, they want to be alive.
Right. So
Right.
they chase
So they-
life, which is what
Astral projection.
Dalton sees that clip of Elise, like you brought up, and she brings up they crave life.
Yeah. By the way, another standout scene. I don't know why I just thought of this right now because it's I thought it was so funny. Was when we got the ghost spectral analysis
Oh,
team
yeah. Yeah.
in the
Yes,
the video.
yes. Oh, I forgot
Dude,
about that.
was the funniest moment of the whole movie.
Say your name.
No.
Which one of those is Lee Wannell?
The guy that was very talkative as
Okay.
opposed to the no guy.
Okay.
Oh, it's so funny. That was great.
I always get them confused with Ghost Chasers from
From
Ghost
Supernatural.
Facers?
Yeah,
Ghost
Ghost
Facers?
Facers. Yeah.
Ghost Chasers, Ghost Facers. Either ways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's our best to worst or most favorite to least favorite.
Yeah, I feel like that's more appropriate because I still really liked the third movie, but the purpose of it was to button up
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
all the outstanding
yeah.
stories, which
Yeah.
I thought they did a magnificent job. But I still thought the first two movies were better.
another thing that I think puts the first one or maybe the first two ahead of three, obviously, is like I had kind of alluded to earlier when I said there's something about children in horror films.
Yeah.
That is the archetype or whatever you want to call it that, kind of makes horror, right? Because kids can see things that we can't or are more in tune with things that we aren't, which
Yeah.
that's why I think the first film, is the scariest in that sense and has the most like, creepy, scary moments,
That's true.
So.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to do was obviously rate the film on a scale from 1 to 10.
'Cause we're so good at that with our beer ratings.
I
we
know.
obviously need to do this for movies.
Yeah,
too.
I was gonna say. So also before I was looking here on, so IMDb gave this movie a 6, which is
Okay.
pretty much like the standard, like I've said in other videos for horror. Anything below that's like, it's like really not great necessarily. I mean, everything's subjective, so I always recommend checking things out for yourself.
Yeah.
And
I'll
formulating
go
your own
first
opinion.
since you went first for the
Fair.
movie order. I would honestly give it a 7. Good movie. I liked it. Like I said, closed a lot of the storylines and answered a lot of the questions. Overall, not too scary. And by scary, I mean like jump scares. There was never any point where I was, screaming like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
So I'd give
maybe
it,
a moment or two of just like,
yeah. Or I'd be like, "What the fuck is that? Oh man, that got me."
How did Omar do with the jump scares?
he was pretty good. There was only like 1 or 2 times. Everybody jumped on the hand slapping
Yeah.
moment.
Did he regret
yeah.
his decision?
And the vomit probably
Ugh.
also got most people, I would say, because it was just so
It was
jarring.
good.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, because
good.
like it was, the camera cut was immediate to him, moving his head out of the bed and the demon or the ghost just vomiting in his face, like.
And the vomit was
Sixth Sense
immediate,
or
like you
whatever.
said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was immediate. They play that sharp note for the
Yeah.
music or
Yeah.
whatever, and then it's just instant vomit and just like.
But yeah, I'd give it a 7.
Okay, that's good. That's a
Alright.
good score. Kim.
I think I was thinking a 7 also because I liked it. And that's it.
And that is all.
I liked
And
it.
that's
I
the
thought
final thoughts.
I thought it was good. I thought it was good overall. I thought it was good. I thought it was solid. I didn't think it was like the best thing I ever saw in my entire life, but I also liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So I think
it's
it's about average, a 7.
I think that's fair, especially considering how we just talked about our rankings from most favorite to least.
Mm-hmm.
Because then what are you going to give the other ones, right? It's like you give a 9, an 8.
Yeah.
So I feel like IMDb and the general consensus from the Rotten Tomato users, not the critics, obviously, because the critics hated it. Fuck them, by the way. Overall, I mean, it seemed like most people would say a 6 or a 7, 70%. So, I mean, I would say a 6.5 or a 7. Probably a 7. It's literally just, it's exactly what you would
Yeah.
want from, like, a horror movie.
Yes.
Maybe you want a little more for it being a third film, but at the same time, I don't have high expectations of, something new coming out of that.
Especially
Yeah.
knowing
That it's
that it
a
was the
final
last
film.
one.
Exactly. So
Knowing
it's-
that it was the last one, you knew you weren't going to get much.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was even surprised they buttoned up the story about his dad.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting
That was a
that.
bonus, right? Like that was a nice little bonus.
Like I had said in the episode where we were talking about our expectations, I thought Josh was going to die, and I literally thought the movie was going to be what it was without Josh's dad, and Josh was going to die holding the door closed, and that was going to be it. I mean, not knowing exactly how it would end, obviously.
sure, yeah. I
But
don't think we could have
if
foresaw
the
that.
if the movie happened, but instead Josh dies holding the door shut in the further for the rest of his life, and we don't get the tidbit about his father, I still think I like it. But they gave us that little bonus, which I appreciated.
Yeah, that was a nice bonus. Nice little bow tie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, there you have it. 7s all around. What
Yeah.
do you guys think though? We'd love to hear your
If you
opinions.
saw it.
Yeah, if you saw it. We'd love to hear your opinions down in that comments section.
And if
Yeah.
you didn't see it, why did you watch this far?
Yeah.
Don't see it now.
Spoilers. They were just like, well, maybe we'll get a great summary from them. Don't need the scares, right? We'll just get
Yeah, maybe
get to
they're
know.
too scared and just want to know what happened.
I can
Omar
respect that.
Omar would probably have listened to this,
I can
right?
respect that.
Probably.
Yeah, even Omar decided to come with us after being on the podcast with us and talking about spirits and ghosts and stuff. So it was a real,
It was a treat.
It was a
Yeah.
treat for us to have him join us on such an adventure.
Yeah. I don't know if he felt the same after, but the movie.
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to go watch some Disney.
It's like, you know,
Yeah.
why did I do this?
Jungle Cruise was pretty good.
Yo, I love Jungle Cruise. What? That movie slaps. Just like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
That is true.
He does slap. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much, we've hit on everything that I had kind of wanted to touch on in the in the outline. So
Is there anything else?
Any final thoughts?
yeah, I mean, it was literally just final
Oh,
thoughts
yeah.
after that. So I mean, unless
I would say, entirely unrelated to the movie, The Nun comes out in September.
I knew this was the next logical step.
The Nun comes out in September, the second one. If you haven't seen the first one, you should see that too. The actress, Vera Farmiga's sister. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sure I am.
That sounds right to me. That's how I always said
It's
it.
her sister. I think they're like 20 years apart or something. But it's her sister in The Nun.
Wow.
Playing her?
And no, I don't think so. I
Wow.
just think the director and casting team wanted to stay in the same vein.
Quite literally.
But yeah, again, not intended. See The Nun. First one was good. I'm excited to see where they go with the second one.
Yeah, me too.
And are we getting another Conjuring or no?
We don't. I think we are, but we don't really have much information. At least, not that I have seen. You could Google
Yeah.
it real quick. But I mean, I thought the next logical step in the final thoughts would be like, if you liked Insidious, you should watch The Conjuring. You probably already have because it's the next logical step, if not the first step that you might have
Right.
taken. So you should definitely check those out. In the last video, we did want to talk about these things, but we never really got around to it. Also, you should definitely check out Sinister. I would recommend the first one. I have never seen the second one, but I heard it was not great from Steve, who you've seen on the channel. And did you see it as well or no?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I probably did.
Yeah, I heard the second one was not as good. But all these films share the same directors, producers, and all that. So that's kind of why they all feel the same. Have a great budget, have great casts, and tell a compelling story with lots of great creepy moments and jump scares.
Yeah.
Sinister is probably one of my favorite horror movies for just like the pure fear that you feel watching it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard to do for me, at least. There's only like
Yeah.
a very few movies where I generally get like creeped out or skeeved out by.
Yeah.
The Witch is another one.
I never watched that
The Witch
one.
is, I don't know, it's something about it just makes me feel a certain way. Yeah, like, I don't know.
It's that dark energy.
It's that dark energy, you just feel like that's probably what life was like back in those days, like in the fucking, Pilgrim days where shit was just weird and fucked up. Did you end up getting a reading on what you were looking up?
The Nun comes out September 8th. I'm not seeing anything on
On a Conjuring?
on another Conjuring.
Okay.
But I also forgot that The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It only came out 2 years,
2 years ago, yeah. We'll probably dive down the Conjuring universe at some point just for fun. Because
We'll have to
that's-
rewatch them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely will. And I mean, there's a lot to watch
And
because
all
there's
the
a lot
Annabelles,
of spin-offs.
Right.
Yeah, there's a ton of spin-offs for that. So I mean, there's a lot of material to cover there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some great horror movies coming out this year. I think there's also another exorcism movie coming out for like the first time in quite a while.
The last
I'll be skipping
Exorcism
that.
movie I watched was The Exorcism of Emily Rose,
Yeah, that was
which I feel like
that was
was
a while
like
ago.
2004.
Yeah.
probably
2005.
I don't-
Really? Oh wow. Okay.
I just looked it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say even later than that, but
Rotten Tomatoes gave it 44%, but IMDb gave it a 6.7.
All right, that's not
You
too
said
bad.
there's another Exorcist movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's a. I thought I had read that, unless they were referring to the one that Russell Crowe was in this year. in which case that had already come out. Obviously, Evil Dead Rise had come out already. Also, it's on Max right now, so if you haven't seen it, you should check it out there. Creepy movie, very good though. Definitely very, very much enjoyed that one. I love the Evil Dead franchise. I forgot what other horror films there were. I'm pretty sure there's like one or two I saw in like a a meme or a post that were for people who are very excited about horror films coming out this year. We don't get a ton of like big blockbuster horror films, but when we do, they're usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there'll be plenty of other independent films that are pretty good, but I couldn't tell you right now what they are.
Yeah.
We'll have to.
I'll be skipping The Exorcism. I've never watched any of those. No thanks.
There is one scene I remember from The Exorcism. Well, there's a few scenes, but there's one scene that has nothing to do with The Exorcism. She's possessed, and the demon walks over to barbed wire and just has her grab the barbed wire and go like this with her hands. And what's crazy is there are other scenes in The Exorcism of Emily Rose where she's like all contorted and shit.
Yeah.
But her grabbing the barbed wire just is stuck.
Fear unlocked.
18 years later. And it's like, I still remember the noise that was happening as she was grabbing the barbed wire, just smiling while she was going like this. And I remember thinking like, what am I doing here? I didn't like scary movies until...
What were you doing there?
I don't remember.
It's not. I didn't make you watch that.
Yeah.
I don't watch those. I don't watch Exorcism.
I also
movies.
another
Kim's
movie I
very
watched.
defensive about it.
watch
The
them.
Others. Did you guys see The Others?
I actually never watched it the whole way through, but I know what the twist was.
Yeah, they're the dead people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember when that came out. Everyone was like, "There's a huge twist and it's so scary." The Others was such a big deal.
It wasn't. The twist wasn't. The only part that like freaks
It's
you
a pretty
out
good
is
twist though, especially for back then.
who
Yeah.
is
Nicole Kidman.
It is Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
The part where like her character starts to realize something's wrong, she runs into the room and starts tearing up this paper. And you see her tearing the paper, and then it flashes to the people that actually live there, and they see the paper being teared up with nothing standing there. And then it flashes to her ripping up the paper. It was a pretty cool camera shot for what I believe was 2001.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. I was gonna say it's either 2000 or 2001, but I think 01's probably right.
I think I'm probably gonna go watch The Others now, just
Nice.
to remember. Won't bother with The Exorcism of Emily Rose,
Yeah, no.
but
I wasn't even hanging out with you in 2005. So
16?
Can't.
No. If you did, you wouldn't be hanging out with me now. I could tell you that. 16-year-old me was. We'll just say that.
All right, everybody. I mean, that was pretty much, I believe, what is our final thoughts. If you made it this far, please drop a like on the video. It helps us out a ton. Leave us some comments on whether you enjoyed the episode, whether you saw the movie, if you liked it, what you thought some of your favorite moments were. I mean, there's no shortage of questions that I could ask you, right, about that. And if you did those things, please subscribe to the channel here. Helps us out. We're always looking to grow our community and interact with more of you guys and maybe get some ideas on what kind of content you'd like us to make.
yeah.
So we'd love to hear that.
And if there are horror movies that you think we should watch, let us know.
Absolutely.
And we'll watch them, and we'll talk about them on the podcast.
Yeah. And you guys can interact with us. It'll be a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's,
Yeah. And if you are listening on a audio platform, be sure you subscribe or follow Brews in the Basement so you never miss an upload. And sometimes Corey likes to put polls on Spotify.
Yeah,
so,
I like to-
So answer them.
Yeah, I do like to do those. I don't think anybody's answered yet, but nonetheless, there's
That's
You
okay.
have to.
there
They'll
are
answer at
interactive
some point.
experiences, right?
And you know what also helps? If you guys rate their podcasts on the audio platforms,
It would
kind
help.
of gets them a little bit more seen and pushed up on,
Please.
Spotify. So you should do that.
We also have Instagram and TikTok.
Yep. Well,
Yep.
all the links will be in the description, as well as in the beginning when we talked about the BeauTeaTime podcast. You know,
Yep.
if you're interested in following and listening to them about beauty products and funny stories about their work environment and such things, then, you know, it helps them out as well.
Yeah.
Those
They're
are some
kind
of
of
the
what it-
scariest stories I've ever heard. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'm sure there's some horrifying stories to be had there.
Yeah.
I mean, they've definitely inspired us to want to do this even more so than we probably already did. So,
Yeah, check us out. We'll have a new episode coming late July.
nice.
So
I'm excited.
But
I feel like
anyway,
it's always exciting when you get Larissa to just be Larissa. So,
yes.
it's a good time.
Yes.
But thank you for listening or watching, and we'll see you on the next
we'll
one.
see you in the next one. Remember, keep a steady stride.
Keep a steady strap.
I said I was going to say that, so I said it.
Yeah.
Boom! Nailed it.
See you next time. Thanks
Bye,
for
y'all.
listening.
Thanks.